You fall out shortly after the ATV, and very quickly after you guys start falling, of course you don't feel the sensation of falling yet, you're still too high in the atmosphere, little rocket boosters below the motorcycle and the ATV begin to slow the descent to enough speed that you do not start causing friction with the atmosphere as you begin to enter it. After several minutes, you see the sky above you start to turn blue as more of the atmosphere covers above you. After 6 minutes, you can start seeing land formations on the ground, mountains, gullies, very few small and shallow-looking bodies of water. And after 7.5 minutes, you touch down rather gently onto the dirt below. You are in the middle of nowhere. You see no settlements of any kind. You see no man-made objects.
That was rather underwhelming.
Yeah, that was a whole lot safer than I thought. I hit the back of the seat. Good job driving.
Evelyn, just like a stone, just kind of ekes forward and just her head drops on the wheel. And there's a loud horn that just is...
Core turns laughing to Zach. Fun.
Yeah, Zach says, coughing, clearing, getting a little bit more confident. Yeah, super fun.
Where do we go?
The first objective of finding our target is to at least try to track him down. Considering I don't see anything, for as far as I can see, we're gonna need at least find some people before we can find the man-eater.
That sounds like a good idea, and I also suggest that perhaps one of us assume role of leader. I would not like to be in such a position. I merely think it would be a good idea to promote someone, so that we might all coordinate more efficiently. I suggest that whoever got the highest marks on their test be the leader.
Evelyn shakes her head. Evelyn shakes her head.
Yeah, you know what? Zach is almost shaking it almost as much as Evelyn, saying, see, I'm not so sure about that. There's something to be said about field experience.
You're right, and Lucian has the most field experience in matters like this.
I look around suddenly shocked. I've been setting up a small Bunsen burner and I'm cooking something over in the warm sand. What, huh?
I observe everyone, seeing that we've, drawing a conclusion that we've reached an impasse. I then posit, well, in situations like this, I've heard that people often resort to a game called rock, paper, scissors to decide such things.
We can't go to the locals as Corsairs. Man-eater will hear about it and we're going to be screwed, right? So we're going to have to at least blend in somehow. So the leader idea isn't so bad, right? I don't know, we're some clan or we're some gang. Right?
I was part of a gang. I have experience in such things, so if we need advisement on that topic, then, well, I can't advise.
Don't take his advice. It's not the kind of gang you're thinking about.
It's not?
A mob. I was the mob's hitman.
Oh. Alright, but let's figure out this whole leadership thing. Alright. Rock, paper, scissors. It's finest skill as any.
And as stated before, I'd like to withdraw from such a competition. I have no interest in being the leader.
Okay. Lucian?
I'm already out as well. I wander around the group handing out corn dog appearing things. Glorg and Bone Sky Dogs. I'm the cook, by the way. Nice to meet you. Cook, right? We've been over... I look around seeing everyone's sort of surprised expressions.
My face is stoic still.
Oh... Okay, maybe you thought I was a combat guy. Okay, I got you. The whole dirty looks thing is making a little bit more sense now. No, I'm the chef. Nice to meet everyone.
He's quite a good chef. I'm rather glad that he's here with us. He can cook anything.
This is a part of your guys, right? You're going to be the chef for the group.
Nope. That's pretty much my one and only expertise.
You're a Corsair. We're bounty hunters. You can't just be a chef.
I am a damn good chef. My good man. He hands you a Glorg and Bone Sky Dog. And yes, I do have some other skills that are just secondary when it comes down to it. Some magic.
He has assisted me in some of my jobs when I was part of the mob.
Unfortunately, I worked as a hitman for a bit, yeah!
He was also fired.
I did say I was a good one. I'm a better chef than I am anything.
With the dog... The whatever you gave him is still in his hands. He'll look over to Evelyn. So, Do you want to take the leadership position? He asks, almost rhetorically.
What is rock, paper, scissors?
Good question. I'm assuming we take a rock and we fight each other with a rock, and then we take some scissors and we fight each other with some scissors, and if the winner's still not determined, we take paper and we try to harm each other with that.
Drake, I am good. You can have it.
Okay. All right. How about you, Oak?
Oak takes out some fairly large medical scissors.
Okay. Zach smiles and he starts finding a rock. Okay. All right. Let's do this.
I think Oak's gonna win.
I lean down to Cor. This isn't how you play rock, paper, scissors.
No, but this is way more interesting.
You guys suddenly hear over the radio, Wansuk, I take it back. I'm loving this.
Okay, so obviously we don't really want to hurt each other, Zach says as he starts to pace in orbit around Oak. We'll just say the first one who gets hit, okay?
Sure.
Alright, anyone else want to take leadership?
I have no interest in it.
I would advise against this, you two.
Why not? Zach says.
Jack will just give a glaring stare to his brother.
Come on. He wanted to be leader, and I want to be leader, so why not? It's just a friendly competition. You're not gonna get hurt.
And if he stabs you...
Oh, I'll be fine. I've been stabbed before. It's just a little pair of scissors.
I know you have.
Yeah, I know.
I'm usually stuck cleaning up the mess.
Finally, he kind of sighs. He, looks at you for a while. He throws down the rock, and he goes, okay, fine. What do you suggest instead?
It's fairly primitive, but I've got this coin.
That works.
It's no rock, but okay.
I know, right? He says, handing it over to Zach.
Alright, Oak. I guess, this squiggly side, you're leader, and on this round side, I'm the leader?
Oak nods.
Zach looks at disbelief at the coin, and with a charming smile he says, best 2 out of 3?
You obviously want to be the leader. I'll step down.
No. Fair is fair. Fair is fair. Nope. I'm not gonna... That's not how I roll. You don't want to do 2 or 3? That's fine. You'll be the de facto leader of this little group. That's fine. I've done it before. I'll do it again.
Nice reverse psychology, Oak.
I will ask Charlotte if she knows where we are supposed to go.
Charlotte looks at you and she says, well, I got as much information as you guys do, but I know someone who might.
Do you know where we should be going, Wansuk?
After a few seconds, you hear a pipe on the radio. Well, the best we got from what I see on the ground from where you're transmitting, you're within the 100-mile radius of where Maneater should be. I can't tell you exactly where she is, but if these charts are still accurate, there should be a settlement about 20 miles due west of you. It's not a big settlement, but it's the closest thing you've got.
Okay.
Oh, good.
What kind of people or beings are contained in the settlement?
A moment later, a voice comes back.
The only thing the database says is that it was a trading post of some kind.
Okay.
Not too sure about the inhabitants themselves.
Hostile? Friendly?
I guess we'll find out. I suggest when we get close by, we scout out the area first, before actually making ourselves known.
What does our leader think?
With that, you can see, everyone can see Zach bite the inside of his cheek pretty hard. But he doesn't say anything.
I turn to Oak.
I hate you so much.
Jack will pipe up. He gave it to you and you just gave it away. This is all you.
We're a team, Zach says, almost more to convince himself than anybody else. We're a team.
Scouting a local area would be best.
I nod. There we have it.
Not noticing anything that's going on between anybody else.
Noticing that Jack has to climb up to the gunner's seat, and that necessarily separates him a little bit from the rest of the ATV, Lucian walks up and hands him the last of the appearing corndoggy type constructions. So I just put it together. You're Jack, right? I didn't get that you were Zach's brother. You're Jack Spender, right? The One Punch King of Zabron. He stares at you.
Jack just stares back.
You're the guy who punched someone so hard in training gear, it all shattered. It had to be replaced. You cured a man's flu with your fist. That Jack?
Jack will slowly nod.
Well, it's a pleasure to be working with you. I'm glad our team is just chock full of badasses. Really hoping you enjoy that. He looks down at the Skyhound dog.
And very quickly, with surprising speed, Jack's right arm pops up between them, and his hand is balled up into a fist.
The dust is kicked up around the pair. Lucian stares at it an inch from his face and lets out a small but excited laugh.
Jack will smile a big smile for the first time in a very long time, and he will give him a thumbs up.
Lucian, grinning, returns to the ATV. You notice he's covered in sweat.
And Jack will eat the corn dog.
Charlotte, munching on the corn dog, actually leans over to Dom and goes, "What just happened?"
I believe that Cor admires that man. He often told stories about him. Or perhaps he wants to fight him? I'm not certain. I always have trouble understanding this sort of thing.
Okay, so it's not just me. Got it.
No, and it is rather refreshing to know that someone else is lost as well.
Charlotte walks away saying, "Brother, I spend half my life lost."
Then perhaps I'm doing better than I thought.
And Charlotte climbs into the ATV.
As we're heading towards civilization, Zach is checking his rifle, and he's reloading it one bullet at a time, and every time he puts in a bullet, you can hear him mumbling, "We are a team." We are a team.
So you guys travel towards due west. You have very little problem. You find that the terrain around you is incredibly flat and incredibly arid, and the ATV and the motorcycle have no trouble traversing the terrain at all. After about 15 minutes or so, you see on the horizon several what look to be a cross between huts and houses built out of more stable structure. It's almost as if the house itself is built out of wood and plaster, but the roofs themselves are more straw-like. You see them start to come into view. You also notice that that there is a road that travels into it. It's very hard to see. It's old and very worn, but it is still travelable, and it goes straight to the town.
I turn to Oak as we see the buildings, and I address him. "Leader, what do you think we should do? Should we stop before approaching, or should we merely ride on in?"
I say that we stop.
Very well. I relay that. I open a channel to the ATV and say, "The leader says we should stop before we approach the village too closely."
Evelyn hits the brakes.
Oh,
Cloud of dust billowing up behind them.
Am I thrown from the car? I'm thrown from the car, am I?
Charlotte, who's sitting in the front seat with you, slams her head against the dashboard, rises back up, and stares at you.
Yeah, I guess braking wasn't one of those questions, were they?
Evelyn looks over at Charlotte and says, "Were you not wearing your seatbelt?" I checked and you said yes!
Very, very slowly, and it's an even tone that's hard to tell. Charlotte says, "No, I wasn't."
Jack will kind of lean down and ask, "Are you okay, Miss Charlotte?"
She shakes her head a bit and she says, "I'm fine. In fact, I suppose I brought it on myself."
Evelyn is like reaching over at her and examining her head to make sure she is all right.
She shoos you away and she says, "Really, I'm fine. I didn't expect you to react so quickly."
Yeah.
So once we're all stopped, Zach will pipe up. Jack and I are pretty accomplished trackers and scouts. We can survey the area before we go in.
What does the leader think?
Okay, that was an open suggestion to everyone, Zach says, impatiently.
Well, of course, but if we do not maintain command structure, then things will fall apart rather quickly.
Zach had the right of it. We are a team, Dom. Right? A team. I stare over at Zach.
For the first time since meeting you, Lucian, all throughout the months of being in French Club, the passive-aggressive smiles and waves to, at least one way, to you, Zach gives you a genuinely grateful look.
I secretly treasure it always.
I instantly forget it.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but as I said, you appear to have some problems with who we selected as leader, Zach. Should we discuss this now?
Pull the motorcycle up closer so I can smack you.
Why would I do that?
Domhnall?
Yes?
Poking him will not solve this.
I can fight my own battles, Jack, Zach says.
Yes, he looks rather fit. I do suppose that Zach would be very capable of fighting his own battles.
Oh. Core grips his head.
Zach says, I think I know what's going on here. You're not 100% sure. I've heard you ask these questions before in class. You don't quite get human culture. That's fine, Domhnall. It's no big deal.
Well, I'm glad you think so.
But maybe it is best that we all agree that we all just see it as a team, and actual leadership is something that is sussed out as we work together. All right? Little growing pains. That's all we have here as a group, and that's fine. As long as we focus together on the same objective, which is getting this our bounty, we should be okay. Right? He says, giving a smile and looking around.
I bow my head in consideration for a moment, then turn to Oak, open my mouth, stop, and then say, I'm sorry that your position was so quickly, taken from you.
Oak shrugs.
I don't know. Zach is speechless.
I turn back to Zach and say, it appears our leader has no problem with being removed from the leadership position. Teamwork it is then.
That should be a motivational poster.
Teamwork it is then.
Okay. What do you think, Jack? Just a quick looky-loo? Come back in, say, an hour? Let everyone know?
That sounds good.
Don't worry, guys. Spender Brothers are on it. We're unstoppable.
Yep, and you'll have something nice to eat when you get back. I've already climbed out of the Jeep and I'm concocting something behind it.
Jack will turn over to Lucian. Give him another thumbs up.
What a cool guy.
What a good... Yeah.
You see a small collection of houses, like you saw in the distance. You see that there's no more than, say, a dozen of them. You see a larger structure, which is better built. You can tell that from the amount of traffic that goes in and out, a couple of things. One, the people here seem close to destitute. Their clothes are not great, not rags, but definitely not, they're well worn. You see this establishment appears to be some sort of bar or tavern or some sort of communal meeting place. You also find a well behind it, a small stone well, which it would appear to be the only source of water this town gets. And most interestingly, you see at the head of at the top, on the other side, opposite to where you guys were traveling from, you see a giant semi-truck, but the semi-truck has been heavily reinforced. You see barricades on top of it that look almost like they're meant for fortifications. You see spikes along the edge of it. You see extra steel plating for armor, and you see a large machine gun attached to the back of it. You do not see anyone who appears to be an owner or associated with this vehicle at the moment.
Lucian, may I use one of your heaters?
Of course! Lucian visibly perks up when you start to talk to him about, well, what he's doing. He droops a little bit when he realizes you're not directly asking him if you want to help cook, which is what he's always wanted, but he's, yeah, go ahead.
You notice after a while he's brewing tea.
Lucian comes by occasionally and checks it out. Ooh, tea. Interesting. And then he'd return to cooking again. If you ever want to help me, want to help me cook, always looking for someone. Lucian quietly continues cooking.
After hearing a request for his time, Oak will help out from time to time.
As Lucian cooks solo, his eyes are almost glazed over. He's in a daze. Whenever Oak heads over and does anything, they sparkle. He turns and watches him with rapt attention until he goes to do whatever else. This cycle continues.
While that's going on, I approach Charlotte and ask the question, so are we going to be graded on our interpersonal relations?
She looks at you. You mean between the people in the group?
Yes, I appear to have already caused something of a rift, and I did not mean to.
Charlotte smiles and she says, Corsair groups are like snowflakes. Every one of them's different. I've seen groups that work like a well-oiled machine. I've seen groups that I don't understand how they haven't killed each other. Huh. They still all get the job done.
Following that snowflake comparison, they will melt quickly in harsher environments. I look around at the wasteland and the blazing sun above.
You look at Oak and he's visibly sizzling.
She looks at you for a moment. She says, your kind doesn't use metaphors very often, do they?
Apologies, but I believe that your snowflake metaphor has just informed me on what I need to do next. I step away from Charlotte, fashion a makeshift umbrella, and hand it to Oak to block the sun for him.
Aww.
Cor mumbles something about, we better be getting graded on our interpersonal relationships watching Oak cook, because this is great.
You notice Oak has brought his own knife specifically for cutting fish.
Wow, I've been saving up money for my own, and do you think I could just hold it for a second?
Jesus.
My fillet knife?
Yeah, I don't know. I used to work in a restaurant, and I got to handle them all the time. It's just been years, you know? I mean, I'm making do with this vibro blade right now, and it just doesn't quite cut the same.
I know what you mean, as Oak holds out the hilt.
Cor grabs it, tests its weight, and goes, oh, yeah, that's nice. He continues working on the fish alongside you.
Yay.
Well, now that we got that very important tactical thing, Zach says, perhaps we should discuss what should we do next. One thing glares out for me, which is everyone there looks pretty destitute, but destitute people don't have a big-ass truck rig like that.
Do you think that is perhaps where Maneater is holed up?
If it's not her, it's someone of great resources and importance. It's worth checking out.
I nod.
Yeah.
Oak is handing out his tea.
You have tea?
Yes. Oak will hand it to each person and say, it's good for you.
I stare at the warm tea and then once again look up at the blazing sun.
It is definitely warm tea.
Okay, I'm gonna wait for someone else to drink it first, but I'll drink it second.
I glance around, waiting for the proper social cue to drink from the tea.
Alright. Into my mouth it goes.
I quickly follow.
whatever sort of flavor this tea was supposed to have, it has been incredibly enhanced to a point where, like, the leaves seem alive and energizing you.
Zach will exhale a little bit, and he'll be like, this talk of tea and fish and other things that don't seem very applicable, putting that aside, this is really damn good tea, he says,
I nod.
Drinking it.
Core post spit take, walks up to Oak. This is delicious! My god, how did you do it? You're going to have to teach me. Oh, I spat most of it out. Can I have some more?
He'll pour some more from the kettle. I'm sorry. I can't possibly teach you this.
Oh well. If we're on the same team, that's fine. You'll do your tea thing, I'll do my fish thing. We'll work together.
He puts a hand on your shoulder with a stern face and says, "You don't understand."
Course stares up at Oak's face into his deeply shadowed eyes. For a second he glimpses eternity. I don't think I do.
I wish I could teach you this. But I am forbidden.
Suddenly completely sobered up, Core returns to his cup of tea. It's almost sullen.
Zach has a mind wave for a second. He goes, wait a second. These people are destitute and it's a trading post, right? I bet you they would kill to drink something this wonderful. Could you make another batch? We might use it as leverage.
I made a pot's worth, but not a town's worth.
There's not that many people, Zach says.
Jack will slowly turn his head towards Zach and go, We're tea merchants now? Really?
Zach will shrug and he says, Corsair Objective 493. Any advantage used in the field should be considered.
Charlotte pulls out a book and starts thumbing through it, looking confused.
Zach smiles and looks over to Evelyn.
That's not 493, that's 312.
It's 493, Zach says. Trust me, I know. I got 147 points. Come on.
Evelyn is reading a book and not paying attention to anyone.
Oak hands you tea.
She takes it, looks at it, drinks it, kind of does a double take, drinks it some more.
So if most of us agree that whoever owns this truck is of importance, we have two options. We can either go into the town looking for trade and getting information that way with people, or we can wait, see if the truck moves, and track it.
I would like to hear from, I would like to hear
Not
from
me.
both... No, I appreciate your opinion. However, yours is not the only one. I'm interested in hearing what the person who got the top marks on the exam has to say, and I'm also curious as to what Core has to say.